Hey everybody, welcome back to the final episode review of 13 Reasons Why, episode 13. So this is it. This is the last episode of what they're calling Season 1. There have been some notes about Season 2 and what that will contain. However, I'm going to look at this as a self-contained series. Tomorrow on Wednesday, I'll be looking at an overarching view of everything that has happened and my reflection on that, but right now let's just talk about what happened in episode 13. At the end of episode 12, we see Hannah make a list and she makes a name and diagrams out who did what and points to the direction of why she did what she did. However, she decides to give it one last try, and that involves going to the school counselor. She just brings her recording device with her, microphone in the backpack, and she sets it up to record the advice and the help that her counselor gives her, and he basically gives her no hope. And there's been a lot of talk about this episode because of that. How effective is the school, the system, professionals at listening and encouraging students to report problems, to be honest with what is happening to them, and how often are they having them hide it under the rug and say just deal with it and just move on with it? I'll address a little bit of this tomorrow. And it was heartbreaking when they actually showed the scene of Hannah killing herself. I really didn't think they were going to go that far, but they did it. And in the way that they did it, you felt the loneliness, you felt her isolation, you felt her by herself. It was tangible. It was there. It almost made me cry, but luckily this time I didn't. So far, only episode 11's made me break down a little bit. Clay's mission, Clay's journey is at an end with this episode, and he is passing on the tapes. He skips over Bryce, who is in tape 12, and he goes right to the counselor, and I feel like that was a very good move because Bryce would have probably just burned or destroyed the tapes, which would have made a public release. However, Tony decided to step up and do something good. He says to Hannah's parents that he tried to honor her wishes, but he decided to give the parents audio copies of the tapes because he feels like this might help somebody not go down the same path that Hannah went, which is a very good choice. And at the end of near the end of the episode, we see Clay approach Sky and want to hang out with her because he feels, and he's worried about her because he feels that she could be suicidal because he's seen her cut herself and she's got a very down attitude and she's very negative and depressive. So he's worried about Sky, and we see Clay reaching out to Sky, and he addresses Mr. Baker, the counselor, and says, we need to make sure that this doesn't happen again, and we need to change. We need to look out for each other. We need to help each other. We need to not tear each other down. During the depositions, a lot of the students say, yes, there is bullying. Yes, I am picked on. Yes, I am shoved and locked in the bathroom and pushed into lockers and treated horribly. And it's very funny because at the beginning, the principal says we don't have a bullying problem at school, so it shows that there's a disconnect. And I feel there is a disconnect in a lot of school systems and a lot of ways that people address and look at teens and the way they interact with each other. When Hannah is going through what happened with her and Bryce, he says, did you say no? The counselor says, Hannah, did you say no? Did you make it known that you didn't want this to happen? And if you didn't, well, then there's nothing you can do because maybe you wanted it and now you think it's a bad choice. And this really irritates me because I have a cousin who was raped, and because she didn't say no and because she didn't overtly say no, the police officer said there's nothing we can do because you didn't say no. And it's a horrible, horrible mentality to think just because you didn't say something, it means you wanted it. Or just because you, as Bryce says, gave the eyes or whatever, it means you wanted it and it's okay. And it's not okay. This is very wrong. Any unwanted physical affection, any physical aggression is horrible. It's horrible for the person doing it, and it's horrible to the person receiving it. A lot of everything that has compiled up to the end of the episode makes sense. But however, I have to stress at the end, even though the system fails it sometimes, there's numbers that you can call, there's people that you can try to get a hold of that will do what they can to help you, because suicide is not the answer. Ending your life is not the answer. And it's heartbreaking to see, even though it's just a character in a story, even though it's just a girl's words on a page in the book, it's heartbreaking to come to the end of a character because they are at the end of their rope. Season 2 supposedly is going to be coming up. I don't know if I want to go through with it because this is supposed to give you a snapshot of the life, but I'll talk more about that in my review tomorrow. But I gotta say, this is a very worth watching series. I must say right now that getting to this final point has been an emotional journey. It has definitely made me rethink of several things, of my past and the way I've interacted with people and girls and women. So where do we go from here? We'll talk about that in Wednesday's video. Leave a comment below, like and subscribe if you want, and I'll catch you tomorrow.
you.